Hi everybody and welcome to an Age of Fantasy Battle Report, quest number 8 in this campaign, Eternal Wardens versus Havoc forces. The Eternal Wardens have made an alliance with the High Elves. While the Elves try to rescue Faewynn the sorceress from the grasp of the evil Necromancer, the Wardens have received reports from scouts of Galtrin and his whereabouts. A large patrol led by Eternal Lord Taltius investigate and find Galtrin at a crossroad, trapped with a magic seal. Before Taltius can react, his Winged Wardens raise their weapons. It's a trap. Havoc forces approach from all sides. The Wardens are surrounded. This will be a battle to the death, and whoever will be left standing on the battlefield at the end of the battle will decide Galtrin's fate. So let's begin with a look at the Havoc forces. They are led by a War Demon Harbinger with a tough value of 6, ambush and flying, armed with a demon sword, and also a War Master with a tough value of 3. He is a Doomcaller, a chosen warrior, and armed with great weapon. Then we have 5 War Warriors. They are furious, and they are chosen warriors, and they all have great weapons. And then we have 5 Blood Warrior Demons. They have the Banner of War, furious, and the demon ability, and great weapons. And then 2 units with 5 War Gore Warriors, armed with 4 hand weapons and 1 great weapon in each unit, and they are Frenzy. Eternal Lord Taltius is the leader of the Eternal Wardens. He is mounted on a Drake, so he has a tough value of 9. The Drake has breath attack and is fast. Taltius is armed with a Meteor Great Hammer, and the Drake has claws. Then we have 3 Wardens. They are fearless. Furious has a tough value of 3, and they are armed with hand weapons. And then we have 3 Destroyers, also with a tough value of 3. They are also fearless but slow, and they are armed with 3 Meteor Great Hammers with the deadly ability. And then we have 5 Guardians armed with spears, and they are fearless. And finally 3 Winged Wardens with a tough value of 3, furious, flying, and fearless, and armed with dual hand weapons. The forces will deploy like this, with the Eternal Wardens in the middle of the battlefield and the demons approaching from all sides. And this is how it looks on the battlefield. The Blood Warrior Demons in the lower right corner. Then we have the unit of War Warriors in the left side of the battlefield. And up here the 2 units of Gore Warriors. A War Demon has not deployed yet. He will use his ambush ability, so no one will know where or when he shows up. And the Eternal Wardens are all here in the middle of the battlefield. So let's begin with the roll-off. Black dice for the Eternal Wardens and red dice for the Havoc Demons. And with a solid roll of 6, the Eternal Wardens will activate first. The Guardians have spotted the Blood Warrior Demons, and they charge them with their spears. They have 5 spear attacks, and they hit on a roll of 4. So let's see how many demons they can kill. 2 hits so far. It's an AP1 weapon, so the Blood Warrior Demons will need a roll of 5 to defend. So one of them is good, the other one fails. 1 Blood Warrior is down. But now they will attack back. So the 4 remaining have 4 attacks, and they will hit on a roll of 4. And they hit a lot better. All 4 attacks hit the target. It's AP4 weapons, so the Guardians will have to come up with 6s to get out of this one. And 1 roll of 6, that means 3 Guardians are killed already here in the first charge. and they have lost the battle, they will have to check for morale. It could be all over for this unit already. They will need a roll of 3 because they are fearless. And a 3 it is. They will pass the test and keep fighting, but back off 1 inch. Next up, the 5 War Warriors. They charge against the Destroyers, and they have 10 attacks, 5 regular and 5 more because they are furious, and they will hit on a 2 because they are chosen warriors. And they somehow manages to fail 4 of the attacks, so they hit with 6 attacks. It's AP 3, and the Destroyers have a defense of 2, so they will block the attacks with a roll of 5. So let's see how many attacks they can defend with their heavy armor. 2 of the attacks are blocked, but that also means 4 of them are good. So 1 destroyer is killed and another one will take 1 wound. Now the 2 remaining destroyers will fight back. They have 4 attacks with their great hammers, and they will hit on a roll of 3. And that's a really bad roll. Only 1 hit. It has the deadly ability, but it doesn't really matter here. 1 warrior fails the defense roll, so 1 is taken down. But the warriors win the battle, and the destroyers will have to take a morale test, and they will pass just fine. And they back off 1 inch. So next up, the Eternal Lord acts himself, and instead of attacking the war warriors, he goes directly for the War Master. He might be the most dangerous enemy on the battlefield right now. So he has 2 attacks with the Meteor Hammer, and the Drake has 3 attacks with Claws, and they both hit on a roll of 3. So 1 hit with the hammer, and it has the deadly special rule, and all 3 claw attacks hit. 1 of them is a rending hit. So the War Master will begin with the 2 regular claw attacks. They are AP nothing, so he will defend them with a roll of 3. These 2. And he defends them both. So now they are out of the way. Then he will try to defend the rending claw hit. And here he will need a roll of 6. And he fails that one, so at least 1 hit. And finally the hit with the hammer, it's AP 4, so he will also need a roll of 6, and otherwise he will be dead. And he fails, and with the deadly special rule, the hit will be multiplied with 3, so all in all it's 4 hits, 4 wounds, and with only a tough value of 3, he is dead. But the Eternal Lord is not finished yet. The Drake has a breath attack, so once per round it can deal 3 hits with AP 1, and it targets the War Warriors, and they have a defense of 3, and 2 of them makes the defense roll, and 1 of them fails. Now it's time for the War Warriors, the first of the units to charge, and they charge against the Wardens. And they are frenzy, so they get 2 extra attacks, and that means a lot of attacks with their hand weapons here, and also a lot of hits. They hit on a roll of 3, so 9 hits, and then 4 attacks with 1 great weapon, also hitting on a roll of 3, so further hits. Hand weapons has an AP value of 1, and the great weapon is AP 3. So now the Wardens will have to defend. They have a defense of 4, so they need rolls of 5 to block the hand weapon hits. And it's not looking good at all. 3 hits are blocked, but 6 hits are going through, and that means 2 Wardens are down. They have a tough value of 3, but with 6 hits, only 1 of them is left. Now he has to defend the great weapon hits, and he will need a roll of 6 here to block. He will need at least 1 6 to survive, but no 6s this time. He is also taken out, and that means the entire unit of Wardens is destroyed. This battle is quickly getting more and more bloody. The Winged Wardens fly across the battlefield and they charge the unit of Gore warriors who have not yet activated. And they are furious. They have 4 attacks with dual hand weapons, but with 1 extra, that is 15 devastating attacks. And they hit on a roll of 4. So far, 3 hits, and then 3 more. And they still have 3 attacks left. Let's see. And we'll just roll this one again, so no further hits. 6 hits, and the warriors will defend on a roll of 5. So 1, 5, but unfortunately the rest of the defense rolls fail. So that means 5 hits, 5 wounds, and with 5 in the unit, they are completely obliterated by the attack here. The Blood Warrior demons were attacked first in this round, but now they charge back. They are fatigued, but they also have the Banner of War ability that gives them the impact special rule, so they already have 4 hits when they attack. And now they have to roll for 4 additional hits, and they will hit on a roll of 6. And 1 further hit with their great weapon here. And the Guardians will defend the great weapon hit. First, it's AP 4, so they will need a 6 to block that hit. And no, that means 1 Guardian is down. Now the final Guardian will have to block the 4 remaining hits with a roll of 4. And he fails each and every one of them. The Guardians are history. And then the Blood Warrior demons consolidate and moves forward slightly. The destroyers fight back again here. They charge the warriors, but they have already fought. They have 4 attacks, and they need a 6 to hit with their great hammers. But that looks like no hits. And then, of course, the warriors can fight back with their great weapons, and they will also need a roll of 6. So they can win this battle if they make at least 1 hit. But, well, looks like they all failed for the warriors too, so no hits in this battle, and they will move back. And that will conclude a first and very aggressive and bloody round of this battle. Several units have already been destroyed here in the first round. And also the War Master was taken down. But now the War Demon Harbinger arrives. With the ambush ability, he decides to enter the battle now. Let's go to round 2. And here he shows up in the lower middle section of the battlefield, more than 9 inches away from the nearest enemy unit. But he will fly in for a charge against the Eternal Lord right away. And he will swing his demon sword for 7 attacks against the Eternal Lord, hitting on a 2. And that looks like all his attacks will hit the Lord. 6 regular attacks and 1 extra because he is furious. Now the Lord will have to defend. He has a defense of 3 and the demon sword is AP 2, so rolls of 5 are needed here. And so far 2 of the attacks are blocked. Let's just take the final roll here. So that means 5 hits against the Eternal Lord. But the demon also has the fear ability, so he will roll a d3, and it will count as 6 hits when we have to find out who wins this battle. But 5 wounds out of the 9. And then the Eternal Lord will fight back with his Meteor Great Hammer. He has 2 attacks and he will hit on a roll of 3. And the hammer is deadly, so the hits will be multiplied with 3 if he hits. And he does with both attacks. And now the Drake also has 3 claw attacks, hitting on a 3. And that will be 2 additional hits with the claws. So now the demon has a tough challenge. It will have to defend. With a defense of 2, he will begin by blocking the claw attacks. And he blocks them both. No hits. But now the Meteor Hammer. And they have an AP 4 value, so he will need 6s to block them. At least 1 6 is needed to survive. One of them failed, and the other as well. He is not able to block any of the hammer attacks, so he will take 6 wounds because they are multiplied with the deadly special rule, and 6 wounds is just too much for the Demon Harbinger. He will be killed and go down. So it was a failed charge, but he also took several wounds of the Eternal Lord. Let's see if some of the other units can exploit that later in the battle. The Winged Wardens fly again. Once again, they seek out a unit of Wargore warriors, and once again they will swing their dual hand weapons for 15 attacks. And only 2 hits in the first roll here. They will hit on a roll of 4. Let's see if they can do better. And it looks slightly better here. 5 hits and the final 3. And they will end up with 7 hits total. And the Wargore warriors will have to defend with rolls of 5. Well, let's see how many they can roll. They block 4 attacks. So 3 of them are wounded and taken down, but at least 2 will survive. And they will fight back. 1 with great weapon and 1 with hand weapon. Both will hit with a 3. And they actually hit with all 3 attacks. So the Winged Wardens could risk losing 1 model in this fight. We will see. First the hand weapon, and they will need a roll of 5. That one is blocked. Then the great weapon, and that will take a roll of 6 to block, and they fail. So 2 wounds to 1 of the Winged Wardens. The Wargore warriors will lose this battle, and they are also below half strength. So a morale test is needed, but they pass with a roll of 3, which is exactly what they needed. The war warriors changed their target. They charged their full range of 12 inches because now they are out of reach of the destroyers because they are slow. And they charge the Eternal Lord, and they will try to take him down. And they are furious, so they will have 1 extra attack for a total of 6. But by mistake, they only rolled 4 attack dice here. They hit with them all. So let's see if the Eternal Lord is able to defend the 4 attacks. That should have been 6. They are AP 3, so he will need rolls of 6 to block. And he fails all his defense rolls, and since he has already taken 5 wounds, these 4 hits will be enough to take him out. Heavy blow for the Eternal Wardens. Their leader and lord is out of the battle. Now the destroyers can't reach any of the units, the war warriors or the remaining blood warrior demons, so they can only attack the 2 remaining war warriors who have already fought the Winged Wardens this round. So they charge them. Attacks with their great hammers hitting on a roll of 3. And certainly not the best roll, only 1 hit. It is deadly and they fail the block, but it can only take 1 model out. And that means 1 will still be able to fight back. 2 great weapon attacks, but he is fatigued, so he will only hit with a roll of 6. And he fails them both, so the destroyers win the battle. He will have to take a morale test. And if he fails, he is of course below half strength. So that means he will leave the battlefield. He has a quality of 3. And with a roll of 1, he has had enough. The Blood Warrior demons conclude the movement this round. They move slightly closer, but still not close enough to be within charge range of the slow destroyers. The forces of Havoc, as well as the Eternal Wardens, have lost their leaders and heroes, but of course the fight will continue in round number 3. The destroyers activate first. They cannot reach any of their enemies, but they position themselves closer. And, well, it's a risky tactic, but they hope to have the defense needed to withstand the incoming attack. And just as expected, the Blood Warrior demons took the bait, and the 4 remaining demons charge the destroyers. They are furious, so they will get 1 extra attack. And that means a total of 8 great weapon attacks. They also have the impact special rule, so they already have 4 hits. And this looks extremely bad for the destroyers here. They hit on a 4, so they will have 4 impact hits and then 6 hits with their great weapons. And the great weapons are AP 4. So first, the 4 impact hits, the destroyers will defend them with a roll of 2, and even here already 1 failed defense roll. So 1 hit, and the 6 great weapon hits are all defended with a roll of 6. That seems to be impossible, but let's see. No, not even 1. So all the 6 great weapon hits, as well as the 1 impact hit for a total of 7 wounds, will destroy the destroyers. The unit is out of the battle. But the Eternal Wardens had a greater plan, because now they are within reach of their Winged Wardens, so the Blood Warriors are now in a very exposed position. And as usual, the Winged Wardens will fly in and charge with 15 dual hand weapon attacks. And they hit on a roll of 4. So 3 hits so far. And then 3 more. 6 hits, and still a few to go. And that will be 7 hits. And with AP1, the demons will have to roll 5s. So 2 defense rolls are successful, but that's nowhere near enough. The Blood Warriors took the bait, and they killed the destroyers in the process, but now they are themselves returned to the pits of hell. And that leaves only 1 remaining unit. The war warriors here, they are not able to charge the Winged Wardens. And if they move closer, the Winged Wardens will activate first in the next round and take them down. So they decide to escape, or let's call it tactical movement, and stay out of reach. And here they are, hiding in the ruins, out of the reach of the Winged Wardens. Let's see what they do in round 4. Even though they have wings and they are flying, they cannot reach the war warriors. And then they make a brave decision. They position themselves within reach of the warriors and leave it up to them to charge them. And then they hope to be able to withstand the attack. And as expected, the war warriors will make the charge, and they are furious, and this could be very, very decisive. They roll 6 attacks, hitting on a 2, so at least one of them fail here. What about the last one? It's a hit. They hit on a 2 because they are chosen warriors. So now 5 hits with AP 3, and the Winged Wardens will need 6s to defend. And as far as I can see, they fail them all. So 5 hits coming in against the Wardens, and one of them is already wounded. So that will take the wounded Warden out, but it will also take an additional Warden out of the battle and leave the last one with 1 wound. And it will be impossible for the last Winged Warden to win the battle, but he can try to do some damage. He swings his dual hand weapons for 4 attacks, hitting on 4s. And he hits with 3 of his attacks. They are AP1, so the war warriors will block them with a roll of 4. And they block 2 of them. So 1 warrior goes down, but the Winged Warden loses the battle, and he will have to take a morale test. He is fearless, but he will still need a 3. And he is good. But he will back off 1 inch, and that will be this round. In the next round, the Winged Warden will have to see if he can take down the last 2 remaining war warriors or not. Let's go to round 5. It's all or nothing now for the Winged Warden. He charges in for 5 attacks, 1 extra because he is furious, hitting on a 4. He will hit 3 attacks. It could be enough to take down the war warriors, but they will defend with rolls of 5. And 1 of them is defended, and the last 2 are not, so he takes down the 2 warriors. He is victorious, the last man standing in this battle, the Winged Warden. And with the last of the Havoc forces destroyed, the magic seal is broken and reveals Galtrin. He is now free from the Necromancer's grasp, and he will join his allies, the Eternal Wardens, in the continuing fight to free Teneros from the forces of Havoc, as well as undead. Only 1 of the 4 travel companions who originally took on the Necromancer is still a captive, and that is Raymond. Galtrin and the Eternal Wardens, as well as the High Elves, will now plan their next step in this quest. Thanks a lot for watching this battle report. I hope you'll join me for future Bat Rips.